Hi everyone, how's it going? Happy Christmas, by the way. I know it's Christmas Day and I know everybody's into the festivities. I'm just making this video to keep it logged, honestly. I'm not making a video to kind of, I don't know, put anybody on blast or some shit. I don't have the energy for that. I'm just keeping this logged so that there's more evidence for the portfolio, as it were. And, you know, basically, long story short, um, I like to do manifestation work. I like to do manifestation work. And basically, the ambulance was called on the 23rd of December for me performing a manifestation ritual, um, rather than me having an actual breakdown. But they can't tell the ambulance that, oh, we're calling her because she's performing a manifestation ritual. They can't call the ambulance and tell them that. So what they'll do instead is they'll call and they'll say that my mental health has gotten worse, even though it hasn't. It hasn't escalated. So I called the police, and this is some of the events that transpired. I'm gonna cut some of it off because in some of the conversation, their names are mentioned. So I'm just gonna press record now, and then you can hear exactly what's going on. Not only because of what's already been done. Okay, so I'm calling to make a report, not only because of what's already been done, but because of what might be done today. The ambulance have been falsely called on me, citing me having a mental health breakdown, when actually nothing of the sort is going on. Right. That actually happened on the 23rd of December. The ambulance were called? Yeah, it happened during the evening. It was my neighbours who made the call. Yeah. And they made the call. I can't believe I'm saying this. I cannot believe I'm saying this, but they made the call because I was performing a spell and they thought that I was performing the spell on them. Okay. Again, I can't believe that just left my mouth, but that's exactly why they did it. Now, to give you a little bit of background, I had a really bad, really terrible breakdown. I'm just letting you know that it isn't completely unfounded because I had a really, really bad breakdown. You see, that's where I fucked up. That's where I fucked up, because it's one thing for them to have genuine concerns about my mental health, because they did have genuine concerns then, but they've lied essentially that it's escalated. So I fucked up by saying, oh, it's not unfounded. They have a reason for it. They don't have a reason for it. You've put yourself in the position where somebody's had a really, really bad mental health breakdown. You don't call the ambulance. And yet, when the person's calmed down and they're performing a ritual or they're doing something you don't like, you're going to call the ambulance and say the situation has escalated. So that's where I fucked up at. I'm glad that I told them about the 15th, don't get me wrong, but I fucked up by saying that it was unfounded because they lied about the fact that it escalated in order to get the ambulance over here. On the 15th of December, that's on tape. I had a really, really bad breakdown on the 15th of December. I was crying this year? Yeah, this year. I had a really bad breakdown on the 15th, okay? Yeah. Now, during that time, they called mental health services when they should have called an ambulance. If they'd have called an ambulance and the ambulance came down here, I would have been happy to go with them. But what they keep doing, and they did it last year as well, only last year, they were harassing me into a breakdown. This year, it was just because I was hormonal and I always get really, really bad when my hormones are up. So they did the same thing last year. Every time I have a breakdown, they don't call the ambulance right away like they're supposed to. They wait a few days until I make fun of them or I do something that they don't like, and then they call the ambulance, and then they turn it into an emergency. And then there's actual evidence for that. There's evidence that they've done that before. That, once again, that's on my YouTube. That's why they're trying to get my YouTube taken down. That's why any opportunity they can get to report my YouTube, they take that opportunity. Now, it's not coincidence to me that the police have actually asked for names, because if I post the names on my live or on my YouTube, that's another report, because that's making an alleged statement and naming a person, right? So if I talk about their names, that video could get taken down. It's happened before. Even though my videos haven't been taken down, they've been silenced, which means anybody from any other part of the world can listen to it. So that's another trick that the police like to use in order to stop evidence from getting out, but it's not going to work here.
Right, okay.
And I'm thinking this type of selfishness can't stand, because the time it took for the paramedics to get here yesterday, somebody's life could have been saved.
Yeah.
In fact, if you cared that much about my life on the 15th, why didn't you call the ambulance then? Is this type of selfish behavior that can't stand, and it's criminal behavior, because you're lying to the ambulance, saying that it's...
I mean, Fabienne, I completely understand what you're saying. However, they're not lying to ambulance.
They are lying to ambulance services. Ambulance services are not going to get down here unless they feel you're at risk, at immediate risk. So they are lying. I was at immediate risk on the 15th. If an ambulance would have been called, it would have been justified. And not only would it have been justified, I would have been like, look, please take me with you. Last year, when I had the same incident, I begged for someone to take me. Begged. They refused. I would have been happy to go with the ambulance if it was on the 15th. I would have been happy to go with them. But they always pull this shit when when the threat has passed. They always pull this shit. Once again, this is a trafficking operation. If this had anything to do with my genuine mental health, they would have pulled the ambulance then and there, said, I'm worried about this person. I'm worried about my children. I'm worried about the other people in the community. This person really needs help. They would have called the ambulance then, but they chose not to. Instead, they weaponized my mental health. They weaponized my mental health. This is trafficking. This is trafficking. Let's be real about the situation. And you want to do it because I'm performing a spell? I'm not even doing any spells on you. You're just doing it because you can't stand me. Let's be real. One of your children in particular, they can't stand me being happy. They like to make people miserable. That's what they love to do, especially when those people are Black, or especially when those people scare them, because they don't like to be made to feel scared. Even if people are not scaring them like purposely, they don't like to be scared. So they basically turn around and they get revenge for people scaring them. That's what this is about. It's about pettiness and selfishness. It's not about anybody's mental health. This, clearly, gangstalking is a trafficking ring. And what they do with that trafficking ring is they use it to avenge like petty shit. Some of that petty shit that doesn't even have anything to do with you. So yeah, they are lying. Why are you going to tell people that the mental health situation is escalating at the exact time that it's dying down? Why would you do that unless you were going to do something selfish? But let's continue.
You've just confirmed that they do have concerns for your mental health.
But they had... She's lying too, because that's not what I said. I said they did have concerns. I said they did have concerns on the 15th, but they don't have concerns now. Why would I call the police about something that that the neighbors had every right to do? So once again, she's trying to flip it round, and she's gaslighting, and she's lying as well. I wouldn't be surprised if Sussex police and the neighbours have been working closely with each other. I wouldn't be surprised. And I wouldn't be surprised if every single one of them know exactly what's going on. Let's continue. 8 days ago, but the same concerns they had 8 days ago are not the same concerns that they have now.
No, of course, and I can understand that. I mean, are you receiving help for your mental health?
Then it's a lie, isn't it? If the same concerns from 8 days ago are not the same concerns now, then that's a lie, isn't it? Okay, so when actually nothing of the sort, okay?
Yeah.
Now, and then they turn it into an emergency.
Yeah.
In fact, if you...
Concerns for your mental health.
But they had concerns 8 days ago, but the same concerns they had 8 days ago are not the same concerns that they have now.
No, of course, and I can understand that. I mean, are you receiving help for your mental health? Have you gone and found...
There we go.
You know, have you sought any...
I have. Like, I've sought help in the form of therapy, but I haven't done anything. This is exactly what the police like to do. Like I haven't done anything. I've been speaking about the fact that I've been hormonally, like the first time I had an attempt and I realized that it was hormonally related was when I was 21 years old. It was after I'd split up with my ex at the time, and I'd overdosed, right? And it was sometime after that, it was a few hours after that, that I realized that when my hormones are up, or when my hormones had something to do with it, bear in mind, I've been gang stalked all my life now, but I had no idea at the time. So it was like every time my hormones were up, I'd always want to end my life, or I'd always want to do something destructive or something like that. And it was always when my hormones were up. I had been speaking about it since I was 21 years old. Do you know what the first doctor said to me? That it was controversial and they brushed it off. I had been speaking about the hormonal impact on my mental health since I was 21 years old. I have been speaking about that to doctors since I was 21 years old. I am 37. So I have been speaking about this for 16 years. And on top of that, when it comes to the gang stalking, I have been speaking about this since what? 2011, 2012. I've been speaking about gang stalking for 11 years now, at least. So none of this is new. Everything that I've been talking about with the gang stalking, with the electronic weaponry, the only reason why I've become more eloquent over the years is because more information has been presented to me that makes me realize, yeah, this is really going on. And on top of that, I've been scanned for chips that have been put inside me. I've been scanned for them. I've been talking about all these issues for more than a decade. And now this person is weaponizing their ignorance to try to make me look as crazy as possible. This is what we're not going to do today. Is it? Okay. What I'm going through is a hormonal issue, not a mental health one, and I've said it time and time again, but the doctors are not listening to me.
Yeah, I mean...
For 16 years. For 16 years. And she wants to try and turn this around on me. If you don't get to fuck...
Yeah, if it is, you know, a hormonal situation, then that would be for doctors to kind of speak with you about...
Then why are you mentioning it, bitch? I can't with this.
Maybe some treatments.
I didn't realize at the time how ridiculous the level of conversation was. I didn't realize. I had no idea. But my thing is this. It's not the fact that they're calling mental health. Do you understand what I'm saying? My thing is this. If somebody is having a really, really bad mental health distress, right?
Yeah.
Call the ambulance then. Do not call the ambulance. In fact, they didn't even call the ambulance last year. They called the police. Why are you wasting time with this? If you knew that I was mentally ill, after all, your kids have been making fun of my mental health issues thanks to you, right? And how you raise those little beasts. No, I'm sorry. I shouldn't say that. But like, come on now. You called the police last year. Why didn't you call the ambulance? If this ain't a trafficking situation, if this is not a setup, why did you call the police instead of the ambulance? Why do you do every single thing except call the ambulance when you are supposed to? No. 8 days later, because they're doing a spell and you think they're doing a curse on you, that's childish.
Right, yeah. I mean, Fabian, again, this isn't, them calling the ambulance isn't something we'd be able to deal with. You know, people call ambulance if...
I don't care. I'm logging it.
Ambulance if they have concerns, whether that be 8 days late. It's a difficult situation because you're right, you know, calling an ambulance 8 days after a situation has happened probably isn't the ideal situation.
Ideal. Come on now. And they know exactly what I'm doing in here. They know that I'm actually like performing a spell. And the thing is, they can hear me. They know I'm not cursing anyone. So my thing is this, right? You're calling the ambulance to make sure that I can't perform magic, but you can't call the ambulance to save somebody's life. That doesn't make sense to me.
Have you spoken to the ambulance and told them that these were kind
of... No. I told them that I had a breakdown 8 days ago. I told them about that. And I also told them that I'm performing a ritual. When they came over, I told them that I had actually calmed down from that incident and that I was performing a ritual, and that's why they called the ambulance. But this has to be some form of harassment because they've done this before. At the end of the day, right, you can't, you know that something's happening. You know that it's an emergency situation. Let me give you some background. Last year, right, when I had the exact same breakdown again last year, what happened was... it was around the exact same time. That lets you know that this was a setup. That lets you know that this was some remote torture bullshit. But let's continue. Is that I was the one who called the ambulance myself.
Yeah.
I called them myself. But I called them at the precise time that I felt like my breakdown was really getting bad. And I begged and I begged and I begged for treatment. And I didn't. This is what I don't get. If it's a real genuine concern over my mental health, then why is it that even when I'm having a massive breakdown, I have to do the thinking for you? Your concern is supposed to be about the safety of your family. How is it that even when in the midst of my biggest breakdown, this is last year, why is it that even in the midst of my biggest breakdown, I have more forethought to care about your family's safety than you do? And you're mentally ill yourself. You don't know how ambulance works? Right? So...
Fabian, what neighbours?
Yeah, I can't mention their names. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload this video. I'm going to edit it. And then I'm going to re-upload so that the names are not on there. And after this live, I'm going to do a second live. And yeah, I'm going to make sure. Yeah, I'm going to make sure nobody's names are mentioned. Because we ain't having that today. So yeah, part 2 is coming up. Stay tuned for that. Love you guys. Peace and blessings. Bye-bye.